Everyone's birth review, and I'm here in this is my review for Happy Gilmore 2, the new film directed by Kyle Newacek and starring Adam Sandler, Christopher McDonald, Julie Bowen, Benny Safdie, and a plethora of cameos from big-time stars. Now, I'm gonna admit I'm very disappointed by this movie, but I wouldn't say it's as bad as everyone else is saying it to be. I think it's a 6 out of 10. There might be some spoilers within this review, so if you don't want to know anything else about this film, I'll give you an encapsulated review right now. Pretty much, if you're a big fan of the original like myself, you'll be highly disappointed, but within that disappointment, there's still some entertainment value within this movie. And it's a good time pass. It never will bore you. There's a lot of things going on, and it's just a gargantuanly bigger film than the original movie. But it misses that human touch that made that original film, Happy Gilmore, so beautiful and so fun and so zany to watch. So, it's a 6 out of 10. It's on Netflix right now. And if you don't want to know anything else about this film, stop this review right now because here is the spoiler-ridden review in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so right off the bat, I am a huge fan of Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore used to be on TV all the time. It was one of my all-time favorite films to watch as a kid, and it was such a zany and outrageous idea, but done in an almost realistic way. Pretty much the idea was, what if a failed professional hockey player ended up finding his true athletic calling as a golfer? And then he has to overcome a lot of different things. He has to overcome a place where in the golfing community, he's kind of this ostracized individual because he's not adhering to the rules and kind of regulations that golfers kind of adhere to. And he's this kind of like unicorn of a guy because, you know, he showboats and he's very foul-mouthed and he's very aggressive and he just swings in a very, very different manner. And, you know, the great thing about that film is that he overcomes that obstacle. He also has to overcome the obstacle of, you know, having to save his grandma's home and how he has to help her get back on her feet. He has to also overcome the fact that, you know, he was a failed individual in one sport and he doesn't want to fail in this new sport and wants to fulfill his athletic dreams as an individual moving forward. He also has to go through a lot of different things like prejudice from the other golfers, especially from Christopher McDonald's character of Shooter McGavin. There's so much brilliant things in that original film that made me upset when I was watching Happy Gilmore 2 in terms of the quality of the story and the overall movie. Now, when you're going into an Adam Sandler film in terms of comedies nowadays, you know that you're going into a movie that's going to be very outrageous, over the top, zany, brash in terms of its humor and how in-face that humor is while the movie is going on. But one of the things that made me love Happy Gilmore in general was the fact that even though all of those things were residing in that respective film, it was done in a palatable way and a very humanizing way too. One of my favorite things in the original film was the romantic angle between Happy Gilmore and Julie Bowen's character of Virginia. And one of the most romantic scenes I've ever seen in Hollywood history happens between the two characters in that hockey rink scene. And that is the humanizing thing that is very devoid in Happy Gilmore 2. And also, big spoiler, because we're in the spoiler part of this review, I hated the fact that they killed off Julie Bowen's character within the first 5 minutes. Yes, she appears here and there in like premonitions and kind of like dream sequences for the rest of the film. But I was really disappointed that they cut out Julie Bowen's character because I really wanted to see her and Adam Sandler going through the trials and tribulations of an older Happy as he's kind of navigating, you know, adulthood with a big family and with the economic situation that he's in right now. I really wanted to see their dynamic throughout this film because I really loved the two in the original movie and I was really disappointed by that decision to kill off her character that fast. Now, there is an emotional angle in this film with Happy Gilmore reeling from the fact that he's lost his wife and having to be a supportive and good dad for his kids, played by his actual daughter, Sunny Sandler, and also 4 of the guys that play his sons. I thought that those scenes were some of the best scenes in this entire film. It kind of reminded me, not to the level and extent that the original film had with the humanizing of his character, but it kind of reminded me of those connections that he had with his grandma in the original film, with Julie Bowen's character in the original film. Here, the emotional impact is not well done in comparison to those two humanizing factors from the first film, but I think that his connection with his actual daughter Sunny in this movie was nice. It was, believable, obviously, because they're actually father and daughter. And the dynamic that he has with the four sons was kind of funny. Every scene that they were in together, it was very rah-rah, dad and sons kind of dynamic. It was very over the top and very, loud and, zany. But I thought that they should have added more scenes with his kids when it came to him, training or actually practicing golf. I was kind of sad that they're only there for, certain sequences. And every time they were there, it was great. But they really didn't delve into his personal life as much as I wanted the film to. And one of the things that made Happy Gilmore, the original, so good was that it made the situation so believable. Yes, there were some over-the-top antics that Happy Gilmore's character was doing in the golf tournaments, but it felt very real in the way they presented this out-of-the-water character in this very controlled kind of setting. Whereas here in Happy Gilmore 2, Benny Safdie's character is creating this rival golf league that is very, kind of arcadey and kind of over the top and very much, desecrating on the values and traditions of regular golf. And ironically, Happy Gilmore, who kind of went against all the norms in the original film, he kind of has to become an inadvertent savior of golf here, and he has to help save the game from being desecrated by Benny Safdie's character's actions and his league's, wishes and wants. I thought that was a good character arc for Gilmore in this film, being almost this kind of not villain in the original film, but kind of like a villain in terms of the traditions that golf had in the original film. But here, that person that golf was kind of looking down upon has to become the person that saves the sport in the end of the film here. And I thought that was kind of cool. And a kind of nice switcheroo from the original film. If I had to give this movie a different title than Happy Gilmore 2, it would be this: Cameos, the movie. It is very distracting, with every 5 to 10 minutes of this film having a big time cameo. And I get it. It's really cool that Netflix gave them a big bag of money to make this movie, which is also a detriment to the film because the original film felt more real and more human because of it having a smaller scale budget. But here, everything is blown out of the water because every 5 to 10 minutes, you have a big time celebrity, a big time, well-known star, or a big time athlete just appearing in a random role. And I don't know why they did that, because it becomes very distracting. It's a big speed breaker, and it just doesn't do anything to the narrative. One of the greatest cameos of all time happened to be Bob Barker's cameo in the original film. It fit like a glove into the atmosphere and the vibe of that original film, and it's one of the funniest cameos you will ever see from anyone in general. And yes, there are some sports-related cameos in the original movie, but it didn't deter from the actual story. The story just kept on going, whereas here, you're kind of looking at the screen, you're like, oh, that person's there, that's kind of cool, but after a few seconds, you're like, that doesn't do anything for the plot, and why are they there? It's kind of cool to see Eminem and Kelsey Plummer and Travis Kelce and Margaret Qualley and Eric Andre and John Daly and Kid Cudi. Bad Bunny's in a prominent role here, but the SNL guy is here too. There's so much people here. Ben Stiller reprises his role, but it's unneeded. It was unnecessary, and it just becomes very distracting. But yeah, overall, Happy Gilmore 2 was very unnecessary. This film didn't need to be done. It was just Netflix wanting this legacy sequel, giving them a huge budget, and just letting Adam Sandler and his team just do whatever they want. But I felt like the movie is just missing that magic that the original film had. Not just because it was made in the 90s, but it just felt more believable, felt more human, and that is all devoid in this film. Now, again, if you're a fan of the original film like myself, you'll be very disappointed. As a Canadian, I think that a lot of Canadians consider Happy Gilmore as their favorite movie, even though he's a Boston Bruins fan, but yeah, whatever. But yeah, it will pass the time. I never got bored. It's just very disappointing. 6 out of 10. In terms of Adam Sandler's recent comedies, surprisingly, this one was okay. It had its moments. But yeah, just go watch the original Happy Gilmore. It's way better and much more magical.